The Teach First training programme is a unique way to learn to be a teacher. Because it's different to other teacher education programmes, trainees need particular support from their mentors to really excel. I asked some trainees to tell me the story of how they learned to teach, and I identified themes running through their stories. Here are 6 insights from my research for mentors who want to help their trainees as they learn to teach. Insight 1. Into the lion's den. You're habituated to the school environment, but it's all new for your trainee, and it's overwhelming. They don't yet have the conceptual or practical tools to do what you do, and they feel like they're the only person who hasn't mastered teaching yet. So you can acknowledge that learning takes time. Make it okay to make mistakes and to ask for help, and let your trainee see that you still struggle sometimes, modelling strategies for addressing challenges. You can also scaffold your trainees' early learning like you would for your pupils. Give them lesson plans and resources to use while they're getting the hang of classroom management, and give direct advice and models they can copy until they've built up their own mental map of teaching and gained some experience in practice. Finally, be mindful of what you assume they know about school life. What seems obvious to you isn't necessarily clear to them. Insight 2. No time to breathe and think. Schools are so busy and so focused on pupil learning that both trainees and their colleagues can forget that the trainee is still a learner too. The busier the trainee is as a teacher, the harder it is to protect time for their development. So you can protect your trainees' time and limit their responsibilities wherever possible. Create space for them to reflect and make sense of their experiences. Actively recognise and support their twin identities of teacher and trainee. Show interest in their academic studies and support their assignments wherever you can. Create opportunities for them to question and inquire, and help them try out and evaluate new ideas. Insight 3. Realising expertise. Learning to teach requires that the trainee develops both a practical repertoire of things teachers do and a conceptual framework for how to use this repertoire effectively. Once they've overcome their initial practice shock, trainees need learning experiences that expose them to teachers' thinking as well as their doing. You can go with your trainee to observe colleagues. Help them make sense of what they're seeing by observing together. And if you can't do this, talk to them later about what they've seen and the thinking behind your colleagues' practice. Make your own expertise visible by talking through the thinking behind your teaching. You could try some co-planning or collaborative marking, for example. And help your trainee to understand the many choices teachers make every day and how expertise informs practice. Introduce them to alternative perspectives and ideas about teaching. And finally, develop your trainees' thinking alongside their practice, so when you give feedback, focus on the ideas behind their teaching as well as what actually happens in the classroom. Insight 4. Travel broadens the mind. Trainees benefit from participating in multiple communities of practice inside and beyond your school, which expose them to different contexts, ideas and ways of doing things. You can help your trainee to build networks with teachers in different communities by using your contacts to connect the trainee with other departments or age phases in your school, with your wider professional community, and with a contrasting school experience that really targets their learning needs. Encourage your trainee to get out and about around the school to see how teaching and learning happen in other subjects and age phases. And finally, encourage innovation. Help your trainee to try out and evaluate ideas they gather from others in their own teaching. Insight 5. Hardshell, soft centre. Managing the twin identities of teacher and trainee can be a conflicting experience. It isn't always easy to take off the hard front of the classroom and ask for help. Trainees don't want to appear weak, but they really do need support. They can feel vulnerable, anxious and overwhelmed, and having a safe space to work through these feelings is hugely important for their long-term well-being and development. So you can be proactive with your support. Check in often and don't assume your trainee will come to you independently when they need you. Make space in your expectations and your interactions for them to be a learner as well as a colleague. Advocate for your trainee and show that you have their back when it's needed, even if things aren't always going smoothly. And finally, be a safe space for your trainee where they can be vulnerable, talk about mistakes and ask for your help. Insight 6. It takes a village to raise a teacher. Insights 1 to 5 show how trainees need multiple relationships to support their learning. Models of great practice, advice, ideas to try out, feedback, a shoulder to cry on, a safe space to let off steam. And this isn't the work of any one person. Learning happens best within a community. It really does take a village to raise a teacher. So you can be a broker, help your trainee build their village across your school and beyond. And build on individual strengths. Don't try to be all things to your trainee. Know what your strengths are as a mentor and focus on these. Help your trainee connect with a community of others whose strengths complement yours.